For those of you who watch horror movies, you've probably seen Japanese ghosts before. But if you really think about it, there's something different about them. They're not just scary. They feel real. Not just because of how they look, but because of their stories. Feel like they could happen in our world. And the strange part is, even after the movie ends, they don't really go away. They stay in your head, in your thoughts, sometimes even in your dreams. In Japan, stories about those kind of entities are nothing new. In fact, almost every religion has something they don't like to talk about. If you ever travel to the rural parts of Japan, you might come across small shrines standing alone, quiet, old, forgotten. Most people think they're just part of tradition, but others believe those places aren't meant for worship. They're meant to keep something calm. Because in Japan, not all spirits are the same. Some are called yurei. They were once human. They lived just like us. But when they died, something didn't live with them. Hatred, pain, or fear. Figures like yurei wo okiku, onryo ubume, or Sadako Yamamura. And then there are yokai. They are different, not human and not spirits too, but something that existed long before people began telling stories. Creatures like Oni, Tengu, Yuki-onna, and others. But among all of them, there's one story that feels different, but from something much closer, something you might have already seen. This is the true story of Sadako Yamamura. Sadako Yamamura was not an ordinary human. She was born with powerful psychic abilities, something beyond science, something unnatural. Her mother was also known for having spiritual powers, but the world never accepted them. People were afraid. They began to call Sadako a curse, and the fear slowly turned into hatred. One day, Sadako's life changed forever. She was attacked, and her body was thrown into an old well, dark, cold, and silent. But the most terrifying part is, she didn't die immediately. She survived in the darkness for days. No lights, no food, no escape. Until finally, her body gave up. But her hatred never did. Years later, a mysterious videotape began to spread. Those who watched it saw strange, disturbing images. And shortly after, the phone will ring. A voice will whisper, 7 days. And exactly 7 days later, they would die. No wounds, no clear cause, as if something had taken their life. When your time is up, the TV turns on by itself. The screen becomes static, and then she appears, crawling slowly out of the screen, her hair covering her face. Her movements are unnatural, broken, but she keeps coming closer, and when she's finally in front of you, it's already too late. But there's something even more disturbing. This curse can be passed on. The only way to survive is to make someone else watch that tape, which means to stay alive, you have to sacrifice someone else. So now, ask yourself, if you were in that situation, what would you do? Sadako is not just a horror story. Her story comes from a Japanese novel titled Ring by Koji Suzuki, which was later adapted into films. And to this day, her name remains one of the most iconic figures in horror. But there's one thing you need to know. Unlike other ghost stories that some people claim to have seen, Sadako was never real. She is not based on a true story, not an urban legend rooted in real events. Sadako is a fictional character created from the very beginning. Even in Japan, she has become part of entertainment, appearing across different media. There is even pachinko of Sadako. Very funny, right? Me, as Japanese, never believed she's real because she's a character. But maybe that's what makes her terrifying. Because something that never existed can feel so real. And maybe that's the scariest part of all.